Right, thank you so much for making time and joining us right here on Debate 4-1. My name, as always, is Eugene Nangwe. We're here yet again to talk about something that is of also importance for us, for those who are dwelling in the city of Kigali. The topic is already on your screen right there. We're talking about the evaluation of the decision to make parts of the Central Business District car-free. And of course, 6 months ago, we did have this conversation when those plans were in place. And of course, today we want to just evaluate the success and of course the challenges. Those who had fears when that plan was in place, were those fears genuine? And of course, have we made the key things that we wanted to make as far as the city is concerned, or the creators of this particular policy is concerned? Let me introduce to you my panelists right here. Not new to the program, Dr. Bazimya, who is an expert on urban planning. Thank you for joining us on Debate 4-1.
You're welcome.
Right, Rama Isibo was also here with us 6 months ago. We want to understand if he still stands on the same position on this issue. Thank you, Rama, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right, City Engineer, Dr. Engineer Alphones, thank you for joining us once again on Debate 4-1.
Thank you very much.
New on this particular conversation, right here on this show, is Saul, the man behind the silent disco at the car-free zone. Of course, we'll be also understanding more about this particular concept. But listening to some of the things that people have been saying about this decision to have the car-free zone, and those statements that were being made before that particular decision, Dr. Alphonse, you are here with us. Looking back, do you really feel that the city really did what it was supposed to have done? And the fears that those who had, especially Dr. Bazimya here and those who were here like Rama, do you feel that you achieved what you really wanted to achieve with this car-free zone so far?
Thank you very much, Anange, to give me this room to really talk to my colleagues and come back to the topic.
Yeah.
And also to the public that was also listening what we said last 6 months ago. Yeah. What I think, it's self-explanatory that the car-free zone has started to yield the results. Yeah. And yet we have
results could be two-way. Good results or bad results?
Yeah, good results.
Good results.
That's what I can say.
Yeah.
Basically, when you see, when we introduced this, actually I told you even last time that I wouldn't like to call it a car-free zone.
Yes.
I would like to call it a pedestrian corridor.
Yeah.
And given that we see now pedestrians moving freely, enjoying the space and many activities taking place, even before we really implement some more other measures that will allow people to get what they deserve from the car-free zone.
Yeah, so yielding good results so
yes.
far.
Yeah.
Yielding good results, Dr. Bazimya, is what Dr. Alphonse says here. You share the same thoughts, or are you still sticking to your grounds that you said here before, that this decision was a rushed one and cannot really succeed when we have banks, when we have schools, when we have a shopping mall? It cannot really succeed. Do you still stand by those particular words?
I think in many ways, yes. Mm. As earlier discussed, I still believe it's not a bad idea. Mm-hmm. But it's an idea that either has not been implemented at the right time, mm-hmm, or in the right way. Because ever since our last discussion here, I have talked to quite a good number of business people that operate along those areas. Mm. And either a good number has moved, many of them have changed their businesses, with the difficulty though,
to adapt to the new situation.
And I would wish the plan had gone all the way, mm-hmm, to facilitate the kind of businesses that operate in that street to still maintain their clientele. Mm-hmm. Because, yes, many people came by car, parked there and went into shops, went into banks, went into restaurants, went into offices. But the moment you removed the transport connection between the business and the clientele, things went a little bit too fast.
But Dr. Alphonse says the results are good, specifically you know, when asked for clarification, whether it's yielding results which are good or bad?
It depends on the way you define results.
Right. How would you define results yourself?
I wish the business people would come up and say, yes, it was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I wish research could have been done that shows the reactions of the business people, the reactions of the customers, the reactions of people interested in that street.
So this reaction not good enough to take home?
I'm not sure it has been done.
No. Rama?
Yes.
Your thoughts? The good engineer says we are actually seeing good results here.
I know a lot of people who own businesses in that area, and it has really been detrimental to them in a very big way. And I wish I lost my old phone, and I had so many pictures of EcoBank dead, KCB dead, Urugwego Opportunity Bank dead, all those banks along that line dead, Baker dead, all of them. No clientele coming in, all the shops in that area dying. They only sometimes get a lunchtime rush when all the banks and the companies and the staff go for lunch and stuff, but the rest of the time it's totally dead. And I don't know how he can qualify that to say that it's been a success. But for the individuals involved who own businesses, it's been a very big inconvenience, almost to the point of putting a lot of people out of business.
Yeah, yeah. You still stick to that position.
I
You
say,
said
I
that
stick
time
to that,
not
that
viable
it's
for this kind of city.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah, let me bring in Eric Saul and then we'll come back to Dr. Alphonse because of this bashing that we're getting in terms of the definition of success for you or good results for you. Eric Saul, I mean, for among the people who have benefited from this creation of the car free zone, you stand as among those people, especially for the creative industry. You have hosted the silent disco. And for people in the creative industry, probably like you, you'd say, man, this is a blessing for us. Is this what you see the car free zone as?
Thank you for inviting me again.
Corridor, in the words of Dr. Alphonse?
I think that every great city has a dedicated pedestrian area. It brings vibrancies, it brings business, it brings a lot of opportunity, it brings space, breathing space for the citizen and the resident of the city to stroll around out, you know, without the cars. He said something very interesting the first time he came. He said, like, a city is made for the people, not for the car. And there's another renowned urban planner called Amanda Butler from Bloomberg Associates. It's a consultancy agency in New York, and what they do is to offer consultancy to government and cities on how to improve the well-being of its citizen. Yeah. So, and she defends the idea that open space in a public city is very, very good. So I think it's progressive. Maybe the decision was a little bit rushed, can be perceived as a little bit rushed, but I've got my doubt on that because I spoke to other people in the city of Kigali, and for whatever reason, I think that the plan to have a car-free zone in Kigali city was already in the books for a very long time. For some reason, it got delayed, and somehow the blog of Sony just kind of triggered something and an acceleration. So I think it's very progressive. I understand the frustration of the businessman. Some of his friends, of Mr. over here, friends, adapted to the situation, and I think that, you know, as a businessman, sometimes you need to adapt to the situation, and I think it's a progressive thing. The silent disco was an idea that, you know, many cities do, you know. It's pedestrian area where people can enjoy music, can stroll around, can sit down, have a book, read a book, meeting some people. It's a good idea. The implementation, we are in Rwanda. You know, we don't do things like anybody else. We have to rush. We have an agenda. We have Vision 2020. So I think that sometimes you just need to shake the tree a little bit, and, you know, for the bigger picture. So in that sense, I think I saw a lot of events going on over there. I think that, you know, the silent disco triggered and opened the mind about some other people, entrepreneurs, who took risks to put other type of events, and it was successful in that sense. But for the business people, yes, of course, you know, there should have been some kind of a plan, an alternative proposed to those people, rather than to see the decision being implemented without due consultation. Yeah. So I can agree with that.
But 6 months ago, Dr. Alphonse insisted, and you said that that consultation had taken place. And of course, there were already plans in place to accommodate even creation of more parking space for those who, needed that particular situation of parking. What would be your response then to these claims that businesses that were around that area have either moved from that area or have been forced to change whatever model they had before to be able to survive in that area, and actually, as they do that, they're actually even struggling to do that? Is this a concern that the city has noticed 6 months later, or you feel like that is not really the case on the ground?
Nanga, thanks. I think this is really, I don't agree with what my colleagues are saying, Dr. Bazimya and Isibo, because if you look what is happening even now, is something that shows that the pedestrian corridor is doing very well in terms of allowing people even to do their businesses. I can't really say that the businesses that were already before have failed. Instead, they have actually done businesses.
How would you explain that?
So I would explain that in the sense that people are now able to move without frustrations, so they are safely moving. Many people access the area. Actually, many festivals have been happening along that place. The banks have been operating. Becca is still operating, and we haven't had any complaint from Becca. We have been working with EcoBank. EcoBank is doing its best. Actually, it has no problem with that. We're working together. They are now going to install their own path that goes to their normal parking. We have been dealing with them, and they have been functioning. They haven't told us anything like that. So we have seen also the Camellia restaurant working very well. People are using the pedestrian corridor, doing very well, moving and enjoying the place. And actually, for us, it's already at the starting point that we see that is a good success already ongoing. Despite that, we are still even working better to make sure that the place is very attractive. Many things are happening, have been happening for the last 6 months, whereby you have been doing the conceptual design of the pedestrian corridor, detailed design. We are now actually commissioning it in this month, and by June, July this coming financial year, we kick off with constructions, making sure that...
To beautify the area.
Yes, to beautify the area and make it more attractive even for the investments that are around.
Right. So what you're trying to say, in other words, is those who are complaining or saying that, businesses are losing out, then this are based on assumptions, because you're saying you have talked to the actual businesses that they're mentioning and they are not complaining.
Sure.
So, Rama and Dr. Bazimya, where are you getting this information that actually businesses are suffering and some have moved out?
You see, when somebody operates in an environment that provides no alternative, I don't think it would be very simple to say he's a success or a failure. Because that's all he has. I happen to work on that street. That's where I spend most of my day from 8 o'clock till about 6 p.m. in the evening. So literally, I'm talking from a practical experience on a day-to-day basis. You can't convince me that EcoBank is doing very well when its car park is literally empty. When the corridor to the car park is going to be created from the finance ministry section.
But should we base on the success of a bank based on the number of cars parked to the parking lot?
Not only that.
Yes.
Not only that.
Yes.
Who are the customers?
How
do they come?
They walked.
How do they get back?
Walk.
If it is a walk, then in terms of walking, maybe the pedestrian free zone has been a success. If we can judge it by how many people do walk to do their business. However, you don't also tell me that the Peace Plaza has been there for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And not even 24% is occupied. How do you explain it?
Let me get an answer.
You don't want to tell
that?
me. No, listen,
Yes.
You don't want to tell me that KCB, which has had to change the direction from which the customers work, has only 6 parking lots, and you tell me it is a success story for a bank. You don't tell me that Mount Kenya, which houses almost 1,000 students on a daily basis, has to park all the way in Kigali, and you tell me it is a success story. Quite a good number of businesses that use it to sell clothes, a good number of businesses that use to sell crafts, a good number of businesses have actually had to relocate. I mean, you talk of Camellia restaurant.
They have all the bank workers around
Not only that, I think their clientele, if we are honest with ourselves, their clientele has cut almost by more than half. You can go and talk to them.
Yeah, but what Dr. Alphonse says is that we have talked to these people and they are not complaining. In fact, we are even working hand in hand to ensure that we facilitate them to even, adapt even better to the situation.
Are there any avenues for complaint anyway? If this was any other country, Dr. Alphonse, Engineer Alphonse, would have got a court order. We would have had a proper due process. We would have had the people of the business community, the government. There would have been some kind of transitional process to help people to adapt. Well, what we had was just a sledgehammer effect, which was terrible. But what I think is more disturbing is that this is part of a wider scheme. Like, I got the impression last time I talked to the engineer that this was part of a scheme to clear that whole part of Kigali, that lower commercial district, eventually to expand it and to choke that whole commercial district and move it out to make room for new skyscrapers and for the new plan, the design that they have there. And all these other businesses, which are taxpayers, which are keeping the government afloat, they were seen as an impediment, as a hindrance to this beautiful picture that they were trying to create on a plan. So the plan, I think, is to eventually move that all the way down to Quartier Mateos, down to where to Disney Front, all that whole area. Within the next 4 or 5 years, I think is going to be wiped off the map.
Right.
I think that's the plan. That's
you
the
think
wider
that's the plan, but Dr. Alphonse is here. He works right there at the city himself. Is this the plan? Was this the plan before we bring in Eric Saul?
Yeah, sure. Anangwe, I think I want to make it clear, and to my colleagues and also to the public that is hearing.
Yeah.
The city has done its best to inform its inhabitants on how the master plan is going to be implemented and what the master plan is. So I would like to clarify this to my colleagues that the master plan was already of that place was already communicated to the public and specifically to the targeted group that works on that area. Yeah. Because these are more land people, they are more people that know they know about the master plan. We have communicated to them even before we closed the road for pedestrians. Yeah. They were engaged. They knew what was going to take place. Yeah. So I don't agree with that the communication, something came abrupt. Till now, people were convinced. And actually, people have even got a way of working even better, because if you look at Camellia, that is, you are saying, is getting even more clientele because people can walk. Actually, there is even one principle that I do agree with. You come with the car, you enter by walking. You leave the car by walking. So if we have a parking place in MP's Plaza, which is almost, so the parking place is enough even to accommodate, but if you go there, so you can't tell me there is a lack of parking place for if it is that case. Yeah. So moving a distance of 100 meters to your office, that's not a problem for people to work. Yeah. If you look at, I have myself as a city engineer, I do the pedestrian corridors just behind my office and behind the office of the city hall. So it's my job to see what's going on, to see what are the problems, challenges that the city faces. Yeah. Currently, I am seeing even more positive answers from these people. So if you look at what happens in the curfew zone now, what we term the curfew zone, is amazing. Festivals, business companies coming for marketing, dances, filmmakers coming to take that, photographers, people enjoying this most air, kids are coming there, sports are taking place, people skating. Actually, even to tell you even something which is coming, we are even going to have a car-free day on time that will begin from the the pedestrian corridor towards the Amahoro Stadium.
Car-free day.
Car-free
My
day.
What
God,
does that even
means
mean?
general strike.
No,
Stay at home.
no. I'm telling you this just to even tell you in the coming year,
we'll stay
in the
at
coming
home
time.
that day.
So this is the whole motion is to create a city for people, people enjoying, people getting a lively place. You remember that place how it was congested before, and now businesses actually, from our perspective as a city, we see a good progress in terms of the achievement of the pedestrian corridor. Although we still have some bit of way to go to make the place very attractive.
Yeah.
So what I can tell you finally, you see what we have done on the KN3 Avenue.
Yeah.
That's the road going to Serena Hotel. That's the road that also encompasses all inclusive road. So it is a full road. If we say a road is the one that a car can move, a pedestrian can move,
Yeah.
a cyclist can move. So if you go through that, so now we have a complete road.
So these are the plans.
These are the plans.
These are the plans.
To make the city a city for people to move.
So the argument that he made that the ultimate objective is to clear out the dirty looking, structures or places, or the way the congestion is, in the name of just beautifying that area. That is not a true assumption.
But actually this is something that people should, that's what I said even from the beginning, that the city master plan was communicated and we are still communicating it. And we have to implement it, so not communicating.
Yeah.
So we are in the first phase of implementation of that place.
Yeah.
And people have been communicated, people have been prepared, and people have taken the initiative to pave a way to develop their own plots.
Right.
And with that, we have not chased them, the city has not done a way to chase them away.
Yeah.
So
the
many
situation
buildings,
for those who have moved is the situation that has made them move.
Yeah, many buildings are already in
I
place.
think there is one big question.
I want you to hold that particular question, because I'm supposed to take a short break and then we take that particular question when we return. But of course, as I bring in our viewers who are watching and of course sharing with us their thoughts, I have Eme Patrick Kigenza, who says that I think car-free zone should be by Rubangura all the way to Kigali City Market.
Wow.
Because we have more pedestrians there.
Yes, yes.
This is what
Mateos should be pedestrianized.
He says.
Apart from loading bays.
Right. Another one here says that boom. Let me just quickly look at this one from Eme. It's the same one, but of course we have some of them coming through. It's just my network here. But of course, when we come back, we just need to move the conversation forward. Unless if you feel like when we return, you will have lost that particular question. You want to ask it now?
No, I would want to ask you this.
Yeah.
We are using the word master plan.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, and with all the activities taking place and all the wishes and thoughts, should he have a master plan or a strategic plan?
Which one do you think in your own way is better for us at this point?
I think we should have a strategic plan
And
which
not a
is
master
adaptive.
plan. Yeah.
The master plan is
Master
rigid.
plan is too
It's
rigid.
technocratic. It's not bending.
It
And
doesn't even
that's
respond
the whole
to
program.
Yeah.
What is happening is actually told to the people that this is what is going on. But you have no flexibility of absorbing their suggestions and discussions and the ideas. A
But
strategic
is this
plan
true? Is this true
for
that there is no
groups.
room for absorbing these suggestions
haven't
and
seen
ideas?
any.
Because Rama also said the same. Where would someone complain or raise their concerns? Dr. Alphonse, is this the situation at City Hall,
Not at
where
all.
people cannot actually come and say, what, we think it should be this other way?
Not at all. Not at all. The City Hall is open to the public, and the City Master Plan is not a rigged material. It's not something, so it's flexible. That's why we work there. That's why we receive people. That's why we advise people on what to do. So the City Master Plan, actually, to tell you the how it works, it has a land use plan, and we have the urban designs that are already made. So this one guide people how to develop their own land and their own plots. And if need be, we guide people what to do, and even it's not that rigged. So I do agree from the conventional way people used to have a master plan and now a strategic plan of saying 5 years we can amend. So our city master plan is also open to that.
It's amendable.
It's amendable. Sometimes, depending on the situation, we do think if this is something we do realistically check whether this thing could be changed or not. It's not something very hard, but still, we do think it's the role of the city, the districts, to guide its own people on how to develop their plots, also following the city master plan.
Right.
And it's their role and the mandate of the public to come to seek the service of one-stop centers in the districts and the city of Kigali for guidance.
So master plan or strategic plan for you? Which one do you think we should be going for based on what Dr.
Of
Bazimya
course,
has?
the city master plan we have a strategic plan of how we implement that. And actually we implemented the master plan by using phases. So by phasing. So we have a phasing that we deal with. We are now in the phase 1 and phase 2 of the city master plan, where we have to deal with that, and that one has a 5-year period. Every 5 years we deal with each phase of the city master plan. And with that we have a strategic plan for each phase.
Right.
So I do think, to answer Dr. Bazimya, that's already incorporated within our planning for the city.
Okay. Dr. Bazimya, you think you need to do more
with all due respect,
yes,
can he give us 2-3 examples of where the master plan has been flexible and adaptive to new ideas?
Can you do that after the break?
Sure.
All right. So after the break, prepare yourself. That's the question that the good Dr. Bazimya has asked right here. We're going to take a very short break. Thank you so much for tweeting. Of course, I'm seeing Cyprian Hoha. You're saying that you are following very, very well the program. We would love to read your thoughts on these particular issues that we're talking about right here on the program. We're going to take a very short break. All you need to do is join the conversation at Debate411 or at Eugene Nangwe. Use the hashtag Debate411. Share with us the success stories that you have personally seen at the car-free zone, and of course the challenges and how we can deal with them to even make the area even better. Do stay with us.
So Natasha, are we cornering our teachers? Are we being unfair to them?
At the end of the day, Fiona also mentions that the more you show them this condom, the more you're opening up their minds to having sex. But do you feel well represented? Do you think the media issues are well taken to the table when it comes to advocacy? How do we convince them and say that we shut it down because you exceeded the limit? The word conservation looks just complicated, but how do we simplify this?
What role do our schools play then? And the people around our children, what role can they play in order to avoid these children becoming a menace in the society?
Yes. Caroline, you just want to sound moral, but you're just not accepting the reality on the ground.
Well, I want to sound moral and encourage it and practice it.
This is an EA production.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for making time for joining us right here on Debate 411. Tonight we are talking about an evaluation of the decision to pedestrianize parts of the Central Business District. That is the place we famously know as the car-free zone. 6 months later, what is good out of it? And of course, what are the challenges that you're facing? And how can we even make it more accommodative for you? Tweet us your thoughts at Debate 411 or at Eugene Nangwe. Kindly remember to use the hashtag Debate411. So let's just quickly read some of these tweets that have been coming through over here. I have one from Richard Vishumba, who says that the only good thing about the car-free zone thus far to me was Kigali tweet and greet. And another one says that I'm agreeing with Dr. Bazimya and Rama Isibo on this. Another one from Merab MP says the city is for the people, not for cars. The cars are used by the people. pedestrianization in the CBD is pro-health. Another one here says that, I beg, I need no car-free day, Jesus. Think of our pregnant women, the enabled, rather the disabled and those in rush that particular day. So Dr. Alphonse, they're not buying that idea of the free car day. But let me ask you, are there any lessons you have learned from this particular process of making this policy or this decision? What are the lessons that the city has learned from this? From the time of planning to implement it to today as we speak, 6 months later?
Sure, I think we, Anangwe, we have learned much. So we have learned that we can develop our city in a good way, in a way that people also would admire, that they can still live in a place, walk, and get good air without having cars on their side and polluting them. So me as a city engineer, I do use the pedestrian corridor while moving around to see how things are moving. And we have learned that people are enjoying the place. And before, it was like people could not really get it, how it's going to work. And we have learned that when we do something, it's really, people get used afterwards to know it's going well.
No matter how they make noise or talk about it,
because
they'll get used to it.
it's always difficult to embrace change. Normally, for us people, even myself, when I used to have a cow, and the cow is sold or done something, I used to cry. Even it's changing, another cow comes. But now I do think that with change, the positive thing, always you need to do something to push and see what comes out.
Right.
And for this case, we were not even pushing because people were sensitized before. The only thing we needed is to make sure that it's time to implement the designs that to make sure that we drive the city where it has to go.
Yeah.
And we have seen that it's getting in a good direction.
Right. You're still remembering that you have a question from Dr. Bazimya, but let's go first of all to Eric. So the point he makes, that most of the time people are just resistant to change. And of course it's a process. And with time, that's part of the lessons that they have learned as a city, that people do adapt in the end. Imi just said right now before we took the break that sometimes when she walks along that street, she's always looking behind to check, is there a car? And most people actually say that many people who use that stretch are not on the road. They still use the pedestrian walk. Quick thoughts or quick takeaway from you on that?
I think that, yeah, I think it's human, it's totally natural, but I think that change, people are afraid of change. You know, you're just going to change the habit, they need to adapt. There's an adaptation period that's very important. And for example, the example that I have is silent disco. That's the reason I'm here.
Yeah.
And silent disco, if I had to listen to the opinion that I had from the streets, from my colleagues and partners, or even like, you know, when I consulted people about that idea of having a silent disco, bringing headphones, having people dancing in the streets,
yeah.
You know, I wouldn't have pursued the idea if I didn't believe it was a good thing. So sometimes you just need to, you know, push the idea, and people eventually will get used to it.
Yeah.
The idea of silent disco came from a very natural thinking, and actually silent disco is a very small part of a bigger idea. The idea was to bring vibrancies to that area. On the days of the week, those banks, those businesses are open, but what's happening on the weekend? What's happening when those banks are closed? What kind of vibrancy do we have in that city? So that was the idea of the silent disco. Silent disco is just 3-4 hours in the evening. But the idea of silent disco to gather people from Kigali city and make the place attractive for even regional tourism, that's the idea, is to bring activities, creativity, games, sitting area, craft, business people in that area for one specific day, maybe one day a month. Something that could start even like at midday and continue till the evening. The silent disco was just the part to demonstrate that the noise pollution will not be an issue if we gather people into one place.
Yeah.
So I think that people fundamentally, yes, they are afraid of change. But sometimes you just need to go through the change. And I think the way we evaluate the car-free zone, we need to evaluate that in different phases. As it says, 1 month later, 6 months later, 1 year later. But I'm sure that if we do an assessment in 2 years' time, I think people, the result of the people's satisfaction is going to be very higher than today.
The levels of satisfaction will be high. The last time we were here, we talked of this area being made as an area where you'd have food bars, you have juice, you have such kind of activities, face painting or paintings and what have you. Yes, but the fact that
music.
he says that once in a while, but what happens during this other period? How easy are we making it for people who have creative ideas like these ones, for people who want to showcase fashion shows or whatever? How are we making it easy and convenient for them to take advantage of this place as Eric Saul and team are doing?
Yeah, thank you very much. Anangwa, I think this is even a good opportunity to tell what is being planned there. And actually also to react on what you said about people also not getting used to move in the pavement that is around. People still move
on the
pedestrian walkway. Yeah, that's natural because the people are used to say this is still a road. And that's what we are doing. And that's what we have been doing since the last 6 months. So we have been very busy. We worked on the conceptual design of the pedestrian corridor. Actually, it is around 500 meters. So we have trenched it into five parts. And these 5 parts are the ones that you see where you shall see many things. The first part will be exploring the past, where we look at the cultural activity, cultural things that we could put in the pedestrian corridor. And actually the pavement will be more friendly, will be more looking for pedestrians. We shall change the whole pavement to more pedestrian friendly.
What do you mean by pedestrian friendly? Because
I was asking the same question.
No,
what do you mean by that?
It's making the pavement more lively to think. Now it's more looking like it is asphalt concrete for asphalt pavement for cars. So people still think it is a car passing there.
Right. So what we're making is we're going to remove all that.
So
and
we're gonna
recarpet it with different.
Different materials.
And it's called esplanade.
Yes,
some kind of an esplanade.
yes, making it more lively place, more enjoyable, more where kids can play.
And this will make people not walk as they look back on the side.
No. That's really now it will be the urban design of the whole place.
Yeah.
So with this, we shall even have a cycling lane inside, whereby even it can be used for emergency vehicles that maybe something happens, but they will pass where people could cycle. So. And this will be integrated directly to the network, to the cycle network we are making within the city. From the, if you see the name NMT infrastructure that's moving from Serena Hotel, that has to be embedded or integrated to the pedestrian corridor.
When are we getting this, pedestrian-friendly pathwalks?
Pathwalks. Yes. So currently we are done by, we closed, the road was closed on 26th of August. Last year.
This is just 6 months ago.
Yeah, 6 months ago. So we have already completed the conceptual master plan of the area. We have already, we are now evaluating. As I talk now, we are evaluating the bidding documents.
Roughly, how long do we take to get this actualized?
By July next year, we are beginning to, by December we should have this ready.
Right. So Dr. Bazimya, if you're listening to this, it still doesn't excite you?
Not much.
Not much. Why?
Sometimes every individual has a right to his or her own thinking.
Yeah.
But from a good wealth of experience that is diversified across countries and continents, I always ask myself, why didn't they start with the city hall? To say no cars in here. Why didn't they turn the entire parking lot of city hall a parking complex that would absorb all the cars of the surrounding buildings? Why give city hall the luxury of workers coming to work with their own cars when they are closing off all the other businesses?
hold that thought. Is this the case? Is this true?
This is not true at all, because the city hall was planned also there, and this the preparation of what the pedestrian corridor and actually the whole pedestrian network that is going to be in the city, so what we could call the car-free zone, was already planned in the city master plan. And actually the parking, it shouldn't be a problem for the city hall. Actually the city hall is even we started from with the pedestrian corridor just behind the city hall, so that even people coming with public transport, they can access the services of the city. So with cars coming to the city, and the planning of the building doesn't have to do with the parking. So everybody has to build his own building, and a parking is whether you can put it on the surface or you can even put it underground. So I don't think the parking for the city should be related with what is being done in the pedestrian, because these are two different issues. One, the pedestrianization of the city center of the CBD is part of implementation of the city master plan, and the city hall to have been constructed is a building. Whether you have space for that, you can build, you can put your parking. So we haven't somebody with a space to provide his own parking. That depends on architectural design.
So that argument of city or staff enjoying the luxury of coming in with their cars
completely
is a baseless.
That's the baseless.
Very
My
baseless.
question is, question is, before the cars get into the parking lot, they have to come from somewhere. And when they leave the parking lot, they have to get to somewhere. What is the relationship between the corridors that bring in the cars and the corridors that take the cars out? I mean, you talk of underground parking. They have closed off the parking for Grand Pension Plaza. You can't exit anymore. They have closed off the parking for EcoBank. You can't enter it. Equity Bank is soon completing or starting their complex. Where will they go? Yet, the city hall is as per its original plan. So what is the relationship? And this is the question that I asked here 6 months ago. What is the relationship between the city hall and the rest of the public?
Right. So in your opinion, how then would we work out that to avoid what you feel is the problem then? What would be the way forward? What would
I
be
think there would be better planning and better consultation. Because we are told we have done this, we have done that. But who is the we? And with who has the we been done? Has actually the public been consulted on those plans? Have they contributed their ideas? Have the business community been consulted?
But he says it from the beginning of the show, 6 months ago and today, they did the consultations. That is what he said.
I haven't seen the results.
Right. Let me jump in again also on Twitter. I have Tuishime who says, I still don't understand why car-free zone in a small city as Kigali. The idea should be better if we had subways. This is what he feels. And the bigger picture as well also is important for us to also look at it. The whole concept of, pedestrianizing certain streets or parts of the CBD. The bigger picture, what do we really want to achieve out of it? And this is what I also read before we came on the show. Some people are saying that there needs to be better understanding among the public as to what exactly this thing means. How beneficial is it to us? And they feel that there's a bit of failure in those who need to really pass on this information. Because once someone understands that this is why you're going through this, then they self-implement it without having, to be told 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have to go here. And so probably this is the homework for you at the city as you implement the master plan. Do you see this also as part of the problem, that there's little understanding or not enough among the population of really understanding the bigger picture of why we want this, streets pedestrianized, like this one who's asking, why do we need it in a small city like Kigali?
Yeah, and now I think this is quite difficult because, but I do hope that they will see benefits when it comes to having this pedestrianization of the city centers. So these are being done actually to make the city more livable, to make the city more viable for commercial businesses, so more viable for economic development of economic activities that are being done in the city. So people are not familiar with this, of course, I do understand with that. But what is happening and what is planned is for good of the people. So the city does plan for its own people, and what it does when it has consulted its own citizens and its inhabitants. Actually, the city master plan was put in place in 2013. And since then, I don't think there is anybody who doesn't, who lives in this city who doesn't know that building or developments go along also following or complying with the city master plan. And if at all, we are, you just said that maybe it's the homework we should have.
Yeah.
Indeed, that's the homework. And it's the homework we have always to do. Much as we implement, we have also to involve our own people to teach them what is being done and also to tell them what is being planned. So we are here in the city, and even now, we're informing the public that the city is doing its best for its own people to live well and do the activities well and make economic benefits from this pedestrianization. So there are very good benefits. We have the city, in the city we have the city master plan embedded, we have exhibition rooms where we entertain people who come to visit us in the city, to tell them about the city master plan, so everybody's welcome.
So people have to take the initiative, they should come
sure.
visit
Also,
you at these
much as we have to communicate to the public through media, through also going to teaching them in even districts. And actually, when I tell you now, what I can tell you now is that in the coming month, this starting month of March and April, we are going to villages. We are going to cell levels to teach about the master plan. And when we talk about cell levels, we also talk about these business people.
Right. It's one thing to teach, and it's another, as Dr. Bazimya says, I don't see the results. You know, it's one thing to, yes, do all these plans.
Yes.
But do we do an evaluation to look for the results, to understand that these are the results of the efforts we are putting to do that? And I'm going to ask this as we take our final thoughts, of course, and also if the opportunity allows, you also share with us some of the other streets that are possibly going to be pedestrianized, or this is the only one that is going to be happening like that. Let's take that from you, and then we go around as we finish.
Sure, I think there already things have been realized. If you see the city now, how it is growing in an orderly way, that is one of the benefits we get from communicating.
So which next street do you think is?
So basically, we have to, when we finalize this, so this is what I call first step of implementing. After that, we have to go with, we have to link another road, that's the road between Beka and MP's Plaza, that goes straight to Kifalma and goes down to downtown where we have the public transit system. So we have to link up that part.
Right.
So to make sure that we link the pedestrians who are moving from the public transport terminal, so they can be able to walk over to the city. So with that, I think also there's another step of moving with that stretch, which people are saying also from the market towards this road going to Rubangura place.
So which other streets?
But those ones are going in phases.
Yeah, which other streets are we likely to see pedestrianized?
Yeah, those are the streets I have been mentioning.
Yeah, so also those ones are going to be...
But also we have, of course, we don't say that everything we're going to be pedestrianized, but also we should be having still vehicles and cars entering within the CBD.
Super, at different times. We have only 1 minute to share, the 60 minutes. A quick takeaway as we go, very briefly.
I get the vision over here, but I see our colleague over here is very pragmatic, and I can understand what he says. The question that it raised to me is like in 2016 we have, there's ways to do a projection 3D and explain to people what's going to happen, how it's going to happen,
so more
have some kind of feedback. That's what I failed to understand why it hasn't been made, because a little video, 5 minutes, will be able to, easy to produce, and will have like reassure all the skepticism about, this is the projection,
so more
the visualization
of
where we're going.
We need to go. That's why we need to really go. The news is next. But Dr. Bazimya, one very briefly, like just one statement, parting shot as we go.
I think I still believe the idea is very good.
That you have said. Tell me something different.
But the implementation has problems.
Has the issue.
And I think the biggest problem is communication. between the city hall and the public.
So that is what
between the
needs to be
city
done
hall
more.
and the business community.
Yeah.
Between the city hall and the consumers of the city hall plans. I think there is need to be more in communication. And as my colleague says, more demonstrable kind of
Tangible
tangible
visualization.
kind of results,
It
so
helps
that
pass
it
this
generates
information.
ownership,
Yeah. Right.
not only by the city hall, but by
The
everybody.
population and everybody. Rama, very briefly, my friend.
Yeah, I'm still disappointed in how it was implemented. Maybe they should have done it next December when the construction was complete.
Yeah.
But we really need new ways of dealing with this, preferably through the courts. Let people give both sides. Let people have enough time to adapt. If you're pro-business, you're pro-business people, and you shouldn't do anything that inconveniences them, because that results in lower taxation and lower revenues.
Right.
So,
Thank you so much. We have to now give way for the news to come in. But of course, thank you so much, Dr. Alphonse, for the insights. And of course, all these things that are being said and those that are being said online as well are very key considerations that we need to put in place at all sides. Thank you so much, Migisha, Alex. Of course, you're saying the car-free zone did not just come as people say. I worked at the city of Kigali in 2009, and by then, it was already in plans. So these are things that had been in plan, but let's see how best we can make the city more dwellable for everybody. Thank you so much for tweeting, Pierre. Thank you for your tweet. Of course, time is up right here, but of course the conversation as always has to go on online at Debate411. Hashtag is Debate411. And we'll see you again next week on Monday for yet another conversation. Let's keep talking. As always, I'm Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye for now.